So this is Country
Yeah.
Music News International. My name's Nigel Sharpe, and as you can see on the other side of the screen and the other side of the ocean, I'm speaking to Mr. Dallas Wayne. But you were also over here in Europe in the 90s, I believe.
Yeah, I backed into a record deal over in Finland when I was on tour with Special Consensus, the bluegrass band,
Right.
and went over to make an album. It did well for us, and one album turned into 6 over there, and we ended up moving over there in the mid '90s. And just after being working there for 4 or 5 years before that, we actually made the move in the later part of the decade. And loved it, had a wonderful time. Spent a lot of time down through Germany and
Yeah.
all through Europe. Really enjoyed it.
Well, there's quite a lot of, well, at least back then, there was quite a lot going on with country music and also bluegrass music, with festivals and gigs. I mean, I remember playing down in Switzerland. We went down to Italy. We played all over Germany. We went to Holland. We played some gigs in France. There was really a lot going on. These days, sadly, not so much. But there's not so much of anything going on over here at the moment because we're still pretty much
Same here.
yeah, we're pretty much in lockdown still. I mean, I'm still active musically, but I think we have something like 1 gig booked so far for this year, and I think if anything's going to happen, it's going to be kind of short notice, and it'll probably be in the summer when we can play outside, and then the restrictions are not so tough. Yeah, you look like a guy who seems to be very comfortable sitting down in front of an audience with an acoustic guitar.
I love it. It's my favorite way to tour. Sometimes you can get lost in a band dynamic as far as sheer volume on stage.
Yeah.
I do this every day on the radio,
Yeah.
just talking into the microphone. So I can sit there by myself and feel comfortable with an audience. And a lot of times the people who come out to the shows in the theaters are folks that listen to our radio show. So half the hard work's already done.
I've always, been of the opinion that you can do anything you like musically with one voice and one acoustic guitar. You can play any genre of music, and it works. And I think also that the audience really enjoy it, or they appreciate it, because there is an essential honesty in it. It's you and a guitar and nothing else. There's no fancy backing tracks or little kind of tricks going on. It's, your voice and your guitar. And I think a lot of the time audiences appreciate that.
It is my favorite way to work, and I love it from a songwriting aspect because that's how those songs were created, with just you and a guitar.
That's right.
So all you're doing is transferring the energy off that right into a crowd of people, and it's very satisfying for me.
Yeah, and you just touched on radio work. I mean, not only are you a singer, songwriter, all-round musician, you're also a DJ. You've appeared on I don't know how many shows at the Grand Ole Opry. You've won a whole bunch of awards, so you've got quite a glittering career behind you. But how did you get into being a DJ? How did that come about?
Well, the radio thing, I started doing radio in college, and I only did it for just a little while, and then it would always kind of come back into my sphere every 3 or 4 or 5 years. Mine would be at the station there in Chicago, at the country station, saying, "Hey man, I'm taking 2 weeks. Why don't you come in? It was such fun having you as a guest. Why don't you come in and guest host for the 2 weeks?" So I do those kind of things, and then gradually, when I moved to Europe, I had a show for Miller Genuine Draft that was syndicated throughout Europe, and it was a fun one to do. And then when Sirius satellite radio came into being, I ended up hiring on there 17 years ago, and I started working there originally on Outlaw Country, and then now I still do my show on Outlaw Country every day, but I also do a 6-hour show over there on Willie's Roadhouse, Willie Nelson's channel. And I love radio. I think it goes back to the communications as a singer-songwriter. You can, it's a one-on-one thing, and it's just fun to do. And let's face it, it's not that hard. It's not like we're breaking rocks for a living or digging a ditch or anything like that. It's actually sitting down at a microphone and talking for 6 hours.
Yeah, so you're originally a native of Missouri, I believe.
Yes.
But you're based in Nashville these days?
Based in Bristol, Tennessee.
Okay.
Of course, record company is here. Sirius XM Satellite Radio has an office in Nashville, but I'm based over in Bristol, over in the East Tennessee mountain.
How does that work with the DJ work? I mean, do you go into their studios, or can you record this at home? Or
I have a studio in my house. It's actually a carryover from our original studios that we had in Austin, Texas.
Okay.
And when we closed that actual physical studio down, I moved everything to another studio that I had there in Austin. And then when we moved from Austin to Bristol, I just took it with me, and I do my show basically out of my house these days.
Okay,
when I'm not out on the road doing something, or come here to Nashville and do the show from our office or our studios here.
And how does that work out if you've got, regular radio shows, but you've also got gigs to play? Can you record the radio shows, earlier or something like that?
Well, when I started out working for Sirius XM, I was touring full time. And I would do this show from the back of the bus. I've done it. The worst was going down the road on I-75 from down the East Coast all the way to Florida, doing my show. And I kept losing my transmission back to New York to do the show. It'd blip out every now and then. It's back before technology got a little more stable.
But yeah, you mentioned about the new record and getting out there and playing it. So what is the situation with new releases for you at the moment? Is it a complete album or an EP? Or
yes, the first single will be released this week. It's called I Hit the Road and the Road Hit Back. I wrote a song I wrote by folks. And then we will be releasing a second single on March 25th. And it's a song that I wrote with Bill Anderson and Buddy Cannon called He Even Brought Her Flowers. And then about a month from that, on the 22nd of April, the full album will be released.
And that's going to be available on all these streaming sites as well as
brick and mortar retail, yeah. But so many different ways to get your music these days.
Yeah. When I came over to Germany to play on the American military bases, the great thing about it for me was that you played country music and people danced to it. And I noticed watching a couple of your videos, from where you were playing live, and it was so nice to see a band on stage and people dancing, around the dance floor. Because to me, that's what country music really is. It brings people together, and if you're doing a good job, they're all on the dance floor.
That's the barometer, especially in Texas. If the dance floor is empty, you're doing something wrong. Bill Mack, the legendary DJ, tells a story. He was Bob Wills' announcer. And when the first night he took the job, he introduced Bob and the Playboys, and they came out. And Bill is over there doing the old school MC thing, raising his hands, getting people to clap and that kind of thing. And Bob Wills looked over and said, "Son, what are you doing?" He said, I'm getting the audience involved. They're not clapping. He said, "No, hear that? The sound of those boots at hardwood floor, that is our applause. That's how we gauge our success of our performance."
Yeah.
And it was a valuable lesson, and it's that way it's still through the dance hall tradition there in Texas.
I noticed there was a whole bunch of great photographs. How is he these days? He's not getting any younger, right?
No, he'll be 89 coming up on the 29th of April, and he's wonderful. I just watched him yesterday in a Super Bowl commercial that made me laugh out loud that he did for Skechers tennis shoes.
Okay, I haven't seen that.
That is just hilarious. Go look it up on the internet. I think you'll like it. It's funny. And he's great. I haven't talked to him for about a week and a half, but he's doing well. He's in Austin.
So what do you play? What do you have a favorite guitar?
I I have way too many guitars. I just got one from a builder over there in Virginia by the name of Wayne Henderson. Wayne has made guitars for, well, he made Eric Clapton's guitar. There's a book about that guitar that he made, and a bunch of other ones he's made over the years. He makes about 10 guitars a year, and there's a 10-year waiting list. And I just got a Wayne Henderson guitar the other day, and I can't put it down. It's just a magical instrument, and it's that way with all new instruments for me. I fall in love. It's like having a pretty girl walk into your life for a little while. You know, you just are infatuated with it for a while till the next pretty girl comes along.
So, on behalf of Country Music News International, my name's Nigel Sharpe. I've been speaking to Dallas Wayne. Dallas, thanks very much for taking the time. I know you've got a very busy schedule at the moment, so we do appreciate it that you do take the time to speak to us, and we wish you all the very best with the new record. So, on to the next interview for you. I'm done for tonight. It's 9 o'clock in the evening for me. I'm going to watch some Netflix and go to bed.
There you go.
There you go.
For visiting with us today.
Yeah, you take care of yourself. Thanks again, and goodbye from us.
All the best, Nigel.